Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my final Q&A answer segment type of video leading up to The Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 7, which is called Crossed. Okay, so yet again, I mentioned this before, but just thank you guys for all the questions. You guys, incredible. So many questions this week. It was crazy. I had to do 4 parts to lead up to all of them. Some of them, as I did on Thursday, Friday, I did like a main question first and used that as kind of the topic for the video and then got in the Q&As after. So if any of yours didn't show up here, you may want to check some of those. Maybe I answered your question in those. I'm putting them in the description if you want to quickly look through them. That way you can kind of see. And I'm doing my best to answer everybody's, but no matter what, you know, there's hundreds. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to all of them. Even if I do an hour and a half of shooting and try and answer as many as I can, I won't get to everybody's, but I do the best I can for you guys. Hope you appreciate that, and that you won't stop asking. You won't stop asking, sending through your video suggestions. Always appreciate it. Always awesome. So for this part, this one will contain spoilers if anyone's not caught up on The Walking Dead. Also, the comic book series, if you intend to read the comic book series and you're behind, it may contain small spoilers for that. So I got some good questions for this one, and I'll save the channel updates until after this part of the Walking Dead Season 5 is done. Once we're done the mid-season finale, do some updates on what you can expect to see during the break in that. We'll get into that, probably do some throwback zombie movie reviews, just some fun stuff. Why not maybe some other things I don't usually do to tide us over during the break, because of course there's a lack of Walking Dead. And at that point, I'll probably do like a weekly Q&A. But anyway, we'll talk about that afterwards. First question for this week, or for this part of this week, I guess, is from Ben O'Brien. I had to add this one. And he says, next question for your Q&A. If you had to choose between The Walking Dead or your girlfriend, what one would you pick? Oh, man. What? Like, that is not a hard question at all, man. Of course, obviously, I got to go with my girlfriend, of course. You know, some people ask me about that. Well, okay, I'll explain. We're not officially married yet. We haven't actually done it, but I did buy her a house. Okay, so I bought a house for her, you know, and everything. Not that, you know, we both live in it and everything. Don't get me wrong, but this is kind of personal. I don't want to get too personal, but people ask, are you married? Are you not married? What's the situation like? Let us know, Trev. Let us know. Let us know. Well, we're not officially married yet, but pretty much. You know, we're going to get married pretty soon, probably this summer, next summer, whenever we get time. You know, as I said in my recent video, I'm a pretty busy guy. You know, I always push myself, so I don't always have time for simple life things sometimes, right? But we're going to make time for that eventually, and we will do that. But that's why I sometimes refer to her as either or. But yeah, of course, I mean, you know, I love The Walking Dead so much, right? I do. It's my favorite thing in fiction, but it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's not real. I know that. It's not. I'm not delusional. I'm not in some kind of fantasy life or fantasy world, even though sometimes my head gets wrapped up in the show a lot because I'm making so many videos for it with the channel and everything I have to do with that, of course. But of course, you know, I would pick my girlfriend. I would pick Jess, of course, obviously, over The Walking Dead, as much as I love it. And it is pretty much like my favorite hobby, you know. So it's good to have hobbies in life. It's important. Some people like sports. Some people like, comic books, TV shows. You know, there's all kinds of different interests out there. For me, The Walking Dead, the comic book series, the TV series, even the figures I love, comic book figures, comic books. You know, it's just, it's probably my number one interest. That, you know, doing what I do here, making videos, is also a big interest, and fixing computers, and also I do like to weightlift, but I don't always get time to do it that much because my other interests take priority sometimes. So yeah, I definitely, silly question, but easy one to answer. Next one, I'm not sure who asked this one. I tried to look, but it scrolled up, so I apologize to whoever asked this. The question is, why do walkers herd up together? Or my interpretation of why do they join up together? Why do they follow each other? My answer to this one, or my thoughts on this one, are basically, I like the comic book version where Eugene explains it as basically like they're like a force of nature. Now what it is like, walkers, they tend to go where noise and things are happening, right? So they tend to kind of follow the same signals. If they get a signal from a fire or something, a lot of them may go towards it, right? Now, if they see a survivor, a lot of them may steer. So you get ones at the front, basically, at the front you'll always have some that are coming after something. They're led by a signal. Now, because they're walking in that direction, all the other walkers hear that. They get that sensory input from the walker in front of them, and they continue. If there's nothing there, they sense movement, they follow the movement. They follow the movement. There's movement over here, they follow the movement. So even other walkers will cause the others to follow the movement. Their movement will have walkers walk that way, because this is at least my interpretation of how it works. So as one starts walking, or a few start walking, others may notice them, may see that movement, standing around no other sensory input almost at all, aside from just regular, light and, sun or whatever. They see something happen, they hear the noise of foot walking, and as they walk together, they get louder. The others hear that noise, go over to check it out and follow. And then they constantly just follow each other, bang into things, and constantly go forward. And that's the concept of a zombie herd. Zombie herd happens because as the zombies move, they create, sensory output, right? They create, well, it's not sensory output, but they create noise, they create airwaves, they create sound and visual stimulus. The other walkers' sensory input, they hear that, auditory, they see what's happening, they see it, and they immediately follow it because something's happening there versus not much happening around. So that's the concept of a zombie herd and why they all kind of funnel in and they can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And unless the attention is split and like one group goes off one way and another group goes off another way, they can just continue to build, and continue to grow. Plus also in a lot of locations like in cities and stuff, you have a lot of places where it's very compact. Can you imagine what a zombie apocalypse would be like in Japan or China? Can you imagine like in Tokyo? Oh my goodness. like you'd have like it would break out, and then you would just have, because of the population, right? Just the streets would just be like flooded, like with zombies. You wouldn't be able to move, if you're there during a zombie apocalypse. Just saying, if you live in New York or you live in Tokyo or you live anywhere that has a huge population, in a small space, you're screwed. You are screwed. You need to get out of there as fast as possible. So that's the concept of the zombie herd. Why it occurs is just because they follow sensory input, regardless of where it's coming from, versus, well, some of them you get lurkers and roamers. Lurkers kind of stand around, but I tend to think that whenever a zombie hears anything, they go towards it, or see anything, they go towards it. So they all kind of draw each other in and go together, and it's like a big force, like a big force of nature just coming through like a tidal wave of zombies. So awesomeness. That'll be a title for this one. Why do zombies form herds, or why do zombies become herds? The herd explained. So probably for this Q&A. Next one is from Ott0904, and he says, "Hey Trev, do you think Rick will talk the cop to cop with Dawn to reason with her to let Beth and Carol go? Kind regards, Kevin from the Netherlands." Well, I think he would have to. I think Dawn actually is a tough opponent for Rick because Dawn, is all about that. She's wearing the uniform. She's all about the uniform. She promotes people to officers. She's like the lead officer, right? She's the lead police. She's like the police chief, right? So as the police chief, she's like going to be doing all, telling everybody. Rick's going to be like, oh, they're cops, like what are the cops doing? Because that's, obviously I'm a cop, right? He was a sheriff, right? He was a cop. So, it's just one of those types of things where, you've got somebody in the same kind of line of work as you. There should be a common interest or a common outlook on things, and yet they're very different. Both of them are very, very different. Whereas Rick has never kept anybody there against their will, except for, well, that's not true, Randall. But that wasn't entirely his deal, right? So, tough call, but I think he is going to try to reason with her, and obviously I don't think it's going to work, clearly. But that's the most interesting meetup we're going to see this season, I think, is the two of them meeting and seeing how that goes. I'm excited for that. Good question, Ott. So thank you. Next one's from Brian Carmen, and he says, who do you think is the father of Rosita's baby? And he suggests Paul Monroe or Jesus. This is the comic book spoiler part. So yeah, that you know what, man, that is a really good call. I would probably put money on him. It could just be some random character we don't know about, but I think that makes a lot of sense. I agree with you. I think that's probably who it is. Other than that, I don't know, man. It could be anybody in that community, right? It could be just anybody. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see, but I think you're probably right. I think that's a good call right there. Next one is from Zach Dobb, and he says, hey, Trev, a couple questions first. Does it make sense that while Rick is away saving Beth and Carol, the zombies from the school where Gareth was could come attack the church, then Abraham and company will show up and save the day? Could Morales be at the Alexandria safe? Could Morales be the Alexandria scout? Since Rick has trust issues now, it would make sense he could trust Morales. That's a good point. Yeah, that would be great. I like both of those concepts. Both of those ideas are great, Zach. I think I would like to see both of them. I mean, we don't have any indication either of them is going to come true, but because there's too much to say. But we did see the start of that with the glass breaking, or the glass starting to. I think as they were there, Gareth was talking about that, wasn't he? When they were banging on the glass and everything, the possibility of eventually it's going to break, that type of thing. Especially because there was action nearby. It does make sense that if they take off, eventually that could shatter. The zombies could come out from there and head towards the church, because that's where that sensory, it came from. They may not have that in memory, but they may just kind of, generally go in that direction, right? And, that'd be cool to see. I'd be excited to see that maybe in the episode 9 or something. Makes a lot of sense. And Morales, man, I hope they bring him back in. If he's anything to do with Alexandria, I'm happy. I want to see him again. I hope they bring him back, man, for sure. Next one's from Keen O'Brien, and he says, a question for this week's Q&A. Are you disappointed with the lack of time we have gotten with Michonne, Rick, and Carl since the second half of Season 4? I know you did the video about Rick just like last week. Just want to hear your thoughts a little bit. No, the other two are not in the show. I, for one, am frustrated with it. So he's a little bit disgruntled, it sounds like, with the last few episodes. A lot of people are with The Walking Dead right now. I've seen interest drop since the Terminus stuff with the channel, just with comments and interaction and everything. And I've still been making just as many videos. So yeah, you're right. A lot of people are feeling the same way you're feeling, man. It's not just you. I can tell you, I could actually show you some numbers that would result in you realizing that people are not as excited as commenting and just going at it on YouTube with regards to The Walking Dead as they were with the Terminus stuff. You're right. But that's the way it goes with any new kind of storyline. It's going to get better, but at the beginning it's going to be a bit slow, and that's just how it is. That's just the nature of storytelling, is that, it builds up to a climax, right? You don't always going to have climaxes all the way through all the time. You can't. It's not possible. People will just get burned out and they won't like it anymore. It's just all there is to it. That's what will happen. So you need the builds, the ups and downs. You need that. You got to have that. So, but with regards to the other two, I've already given my thoughts on Rick. It kind of sucks. I like to see Rick a lot. Michonne, same thing. Carl, same thing. But they're not the only ones. If you look at like a lot of the other characters, like Maggie hasn't had much time. Like a lot of them haven't had that much time. Like Daryl and Carol, we just got a good amount of time with. But up until that episode, they hadn't had hardly any. So I think they're just rotating. They've got a huge cast, and that's just the downside of it. But I do agree with you. I do like seeing those characters, and I hope we get to see more of them pretty soon, especially Rick. Next one's from Slender Ways Watches, or Slender Ways Watches, something like that. Sorry, man. Hey, Trev, huge fan from Portugal. I have 2 questions for you for Q&A video. For you, is there any character in the show that puts their comic counterpart to shame? And I don't think I recorded your second part. Sorry. There's lots of characters in TV show that are much better than in the comic book series. We're talking Shane. We're talking, let's see, Herschel was a lot better. Michonne, I think, has been better in the TV series than she was originally in the comic book, I think. There's lots of them. I think already Eugene's funnier to see him. See him in live action. You get the comedy more than you did in the comic book series, so he's better. There's lots of characters that have been better in the TV series. Lots. The Governor, way better. Gareth, better than Chris? Yeah, I think so too. They really do a good job at bringing out those characters and just improving everything, I would say. Next one's from Michael Kemp, and he says, in Consumed, Carol says to Daryl, "You don't know me," or "You know me." I think she says, "You know me." I have to watch it again, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't say "don't." When they are discussing the art on the wall, Daryl replies something like, "You keep telling yourself that." Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. Yeah, so good question, Michael. Wanted to hear my thoughts on that one. What did he mean by that when he said that you keep telling yourself that? I think what he means is that he doesn't really know her anymore. Like, he knew her, but the person she's become is totally different from who she was, and she hasn't really opened up to him and told him everything that's happened with her. You know, he knows that they lost Lizzie and Mika. He hasn't pried to ask what happened exactly, but you know, he knew they were dead. He kind of said it, you know, in that episode, and she didn't go into detail. She just said it was worse than that. So she hasn't really opened up, and I guess at this point, he doesn't feel like he really knows her. You know, when she goes to leave out of nowhere, and he's, you know, "What are you doing?" You know, and she doesn't really know what she's doing. You know, I think that right there is where he gets that kind of, he feels like he doesn't know her anymore, even though she says that, you know, obviously he does. He feels like not anymore. Not after the prison, not after her being kind of kicked out, not after all these things have happened. She's changed, and he can see it, and he doesn't recognize her anymore. So yeah, I mean, that's you know, that just shows her development and what's happened with her in the series. It's been pretty crazy with her. She's one of the most unexpected characters ever, is Carol, because when she started out, man, I was just like, oh yeah, she's gonna die like any time. She's gonna be dead like first season, right? And very unexpected character to see her become what she has in the series. Awesome character. John May, next question's from him, and he says, by the way, how the hell does the just like that, how the hell does the hospital have electricity? You know, I don't know, man. I mean, you know, how do they shouldn't. They probably, well, you know, hospitals are very important, you know, government, obviously, you know, hospital is probably your most important facility. That and a prison, very important. So it's in the city, so the power grid to some degree, maybe it has backup generators, or maybe it has, you know, I guess backup generators would fall, you know, it would eventually fail. It must have some kind of its own power system or something, like emergency power to run on, and you know, must still be running as it's in the city. So I guess because of that, you know, that can kind of explain it. I don't know too much about, you know, backup reserves for hospital electricity or something. It's not something I've ever thought about, but does it make sense? I don't know. All the way the way I see it is hospitals, you know, they're going to have the best backup power and stuff, you know, that you can imagine, right? Because the hospital, they need that. If a hospital loses power, like for a long time, people die. You know, the machines go off, people die. So obviously very important. Next one's from Dawn of the Walking Dead. He says, what's going on, Trev? Hope you're having a great day. Well, I am. Thank you, man. I hope you are too. My question is, do you think Carl will eventually be the one who will free Negan from his imprisonment? You don't have to put this in a video. You can just reply directly. Well, I did put it in a video, so there you go. And then he says, I'm his favorite YouTuber. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm not that great. I'm good, but I'm not that great. Anyway, I appreciate your guys' support. I'm only good because you guys are here. That's really all there is to it. Okay, so his main question is, will Carl free Negan in the comic book series? So comic book question. I'm cool with that. I know a lot of people don't watch the comic books, but do I think Carl will do it? No. I don't think so. You know, would they put Carl in jail for what he's done so far? No, he's Rick's son. I don't think so. So, oh man, this, you know, it's tough to predict the comic book series. I have to think about it quite a bit before I kind of go into this, but I don't think it's going to be Carl that frees Negan, but somehow Negan's going to get free. He has to, somehow, I would say, yeah. For sure. Good question, though. Next one's from Chris Fleming, and he says, hey, Trev, just curious about your thoughts on Kirkman saying the mid-season finale will be pretty deadly. Does he mean for Dawn's group or the survivors? Is he trolling us as usual or serious? I think we're going to get at least a couple character deaths because it's been a while. Like, since season 3, we haven't had like a big double or, you know, a lot of deaths at once. Like a lot of deaths in a season, where season 3 we had, you know, tons. We had like Andrea, you know, Merle, Lori, Rick's wife. I mean, you can't get any bigger than that, basically. That's about as big as you can get. You know, T-Dog and Axel and just all kinds of craziness. Season 4 was good too, but with regards to deaths. But no, I think he's telling the truth. I mean, he does like to troll a bit in his answers and stuff, but I think for the most part he's telling the truth. It's just that you know, we'll probably get a few, like a couple on the survivor side, and maybe at least one, I would say, We have to. And, probably a bunch from Don's side, if not like everybody. So we'll see how it goes. Next one's from WineDog2, and he says, but I have a question for your Q&A. In the promo, we see Tyreese on the mission run with Rick. We know Tyreese is very bad with a gun and is very good with baby Judith. So why do you think Rick has him come along on the mission run? Well, I think Michonne stays because Michonne, of course, uses her skills with the katana, which is good for close range. But against cops in a hospital like that, unless she can keep everything close quarters, I mean, it would be good. But I think they want to have somebody strong stay back. And I think that Tyreese, I think they realize that Tyreese maybe isn't the right person to protect the baby and all, because that's important too, right? They want to have somebody really strong stay back. One of the strongest people. So having Michonne stay, she can take care of any zombies you have. She's probably the best person at killing zombies because she's got her sword. She can come up to like 10 of them in a pack, and she can just slice through them all, put them all down. And she'll get a bit tired, but a lot of the other characters, they can't really do that. I mean, Tyreese with a hammer, yeah, he could, but Michonne's good for that, and also she's probably pretty good against survivors too. Also, Carl's there; he can shoot. So I guess it just makes sense to put her there because she's strong, and she wouldn't really excel against Dawn's group because they use guns, right? And sidearms and that. Unless the person with a sword gets really close, they're police officers with guns. It's going to be pretty tough, right? So I think it makes sense to leave someone strong back there too. Even though you're right, Tyreese is not that great in terms of bringing on the mission with him because he can't shoot that well. So you're right, I agree with you. I guess we'll see. Maybe he could be one of the ones who gets killed. We'll see. Callum Williams says, do you think that the burning around Carol all the time is foreshadowing something? Like maybe that's the way she will die or something like that in the future? Because there have been so many times when Carol has seen smoke and fire. Yeah, you're right. It can't just be like they do it so much. It can't just be a reference to her development with regards to Mika and Lizzie. At least I wouldn't think so. I mean, maybe it's to kind of show that she can't escape this, this whole idea of what's happened to them. It's so much of her character that's why they show it so much, is because she can't escape it, that type of thing. That's why they show it so often. But I could see her dying as a result of fire or something like that. I think that makes sense, but I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to see. Like, what if Dawn and the group light her on fire or something? Oh man, that would be brutal. Frickin' witch. So, well, I don't mean Carol I mean Dawn would be, but yeah, I guess that doesn't make sense. Anyway, so let's move on from that. But yeah, like we said, I mean, I think that would make sense, but maybe they're just putting it out there obviously that she can't escape this memory of what happened with them. Same as the kid walker that came up to the glass, right? That type of thing. Next one's from Mighty Thor Williams, and we're almost at the end. A few more questions to go after this. Do you think Noah could be Heath from the comics? Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. We'll see what happens with that, but I think that's exactly who he is, as a new person, a new version of that character. Next one's from Hunter Farrell. He says, Wiltshire Estates, maybe not Alexandria. Yeah, you might be right. I've seen some stuff online. I've heard some stuff. Maybe it's not Alexandria. Maybe we're going to see a new community first before that. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Shire, Wiltshire. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm going through kind of fast just because we have a few left here, and I want to get to pretty much all of them that I noted down. Next one's from Killer Monkey. Says, hey Trev, love your videos now. I know why everyone hates Chris because of him stealing Daryl and Carol's stuff. Just joking anyway. Do you think the Don's group killed the Vatos? Now, my understanding is that was the governor's group, as far as we know. I mean, I don't think we know for sure, but we know the governor's group saved Merle, and we know the Vatos were close to that location. So it's possible they did, but as far as I know, I don't think there's anything that says for sure, but I think the whole thing looked a lot like it was the governor's group that did it. So I don't know. I always thought it was the governor's group. It's possible it could have been Dawn's group. I don't think there's anything that can say that it wasn't, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So, and also, Dawn's group is close to them too. So I always assumed it was the governor's group, and I think that's more likely, but it's possible, maybe not. Next one's from the Walking Dead Dude, and he says, do you think Anson Mount, who stars in Hell on Wheels, would be a good fit for the role of Paul Monroe? Man, he would be perfect. Now, I haven't seen too much of Hell on Wheels, but I do know who you're talking about, and he looks exactly like him. So if they get him, plus he's on AMC, and I don't know how long Hell on Wheels is going to last as a series, so that would be perfect. Another question from Walking Dead Dude. He says, do you think Abraham will make it to All Out War in the TV show? Comic book type question. Yeah, I think so. I think his route's going to be a lot different, and I think we're going to see them do a lot different stuff with Abraham and him be a very prominent character in the TV series. I think so. Next one, also from him too. Will you watch Outcast on Cinemax? Will you guys... If you don't know what Outcast is, it's another comic book series from Robert Kirkman. It was fairly new, too, and it got picked up. It's going to be shown on Cinemax, a TV series called Outcast. It's kind of like, I don't want to say Constantine, but it's to do with exorcism and stuff like that. I'm not too big on exorcism. I do like Constantine, so I may check it out. I may review the premiere, but to be honest, I read the comic book series, and I thought it was pretty good. But it didn't grab me. I didn't like run out to buy the second issue or whatever, or really get after it. Not like The Walking Dead. And his final question, this will be the final question for this part, because I'm losing my voice. Do you think that the TV show will do more with Father Gabriel's character than the comics? Yes, absolutely. I think they will. I think they kind of have to. He wasn't used in the comics like at all, like barely at all. So I think they have to do more with him, and I think we're going to see that. So. All in all, that's it for this week's Q&A questions, guys. If you have more, please feel free to send them to me. I can include them in next week's. And let me know what you think about me doing multiple parts of Q&As. When The Walking Dead ends this season, or mid-season, I may go back to doing one Q&A a week on The Walking Dead. But let me know if you guys want to see more. If you think one, you're not going to be able to get to that many questions in one Q&A, maybe you're right. Maybe I should do more. So leave me your feedback. If you guys like the video, please thumb it up below. As of course, we'll see you tonight for the awesome episode of The Walking, or it should be awesome episode of The Walking Dead, episode 7. Cross, can't wait for it. And so thumb it up, share it, favorite if you guys wouldn't mind. Really appreciate it as always. And thanks for watching, guys. See you for the next one. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace.